Welcome back to the last session of Introduction to Literature, Non-Western Voices. Ama Ata Ayedo. Ama Ata's Ayedo's novel, Our Sister Killed Joy, offers a powerful African feminist perspective examining colonialism's legacies, cultural identity, and gender through the protagonist's journey to Europe. The novel challenges Western readers' assumptions in multiple ways. It reverses the typical travel narratives. Instead of Europeans traveling to Africa and writing about exotic others, an African travels to Europe and critic European society. It refuses to explain African cultural praxis to Western readers, assuming African readers and perspectives. It employs experimental styles incorporating prose, poetry, and second person addresses. The novel explores tensions between traditions and modernity, between African and European values, and between personal desires and communal obligations. The protagonist, Sissy, must navigate multiple identities and loyalties, representing broader struggles facing post-colonial African women. Aido's experimental style reflecting thematic concerns about voice, audience, and cultural translation by mixing genres and directly addressing readers. She makes us conscious of the act of reading and our own positions as readers. If we're Western readers, we might feel addressed but also excluded, experiencing what it's like not to be the assumed audience, something non-Western readers experience constantly when reading Western literature. Canonical diversification, deservance, Don Quiz Oates, published in two parts in 1605 and 1615, is often called the first modern novel. While written by a European male author, it originates from Spanish rather than English literary tradition and explores cultural encounters between Christians and Muslims in early modern Spain. Including such texts alongside traditional English language canon demonstrates that Western literature encompasses diverse traditions, not just English and American literature. Spanish, Italian, French, German, and other European traditions are distinct from each other with different histories and concerns. Um, this novel is particularly relevant for understanding how literature represents reality. The novel is deeply self reflexive about storytelling. It's about a man who has read too many chivalric romances and consequently cannot distinguish fantasy from reality. Um, the mistakes, windmills for giants, ints, and castles, peace and skills for noble ladies, because his mind is shaped by the literature he's read. This makes Don Quixote a profound mediation on fiction's power and dangers, on reading effects, and on the relationship between literature and life. It critiques romanticized fiction while itself being fiction, creating complex metafictional layers. It's funny and sad simultaneously. We laugh at Don Quixote's delusions while recognizing something noble in his idealism and something tragic in his inability to adapt to a world that doesn't match his dreams. The novel demonstrates literature's capacity for self-critic and self-awareness, showing that fiction can examine its own nature and effects. Then let's go for um, cultivating empathy through literature. Literature cultivates empathy by allowing readers to imaginatively inhabit perspectives different from their own, reading narratives of experiences unlike one's own. Different cultural background, historical periods, social positions, or identity categories develops understanding across difference. You temporarily see the world through someone else's eyes, experiencing their joys, fears, struggles, and triumphs. This imaginative identification builds empathy in ways that abstract knowledge cannot. However, this pathetic capacity has important limits. Reading about marginalized experiences doesn't make privileged readers equivalent to those who live them. Reading one a novel by a black author doesn't give white readers full understanding of black experience. Reading shouldn't be a form of cultural tourism where privileged readers consume marginalized experiences for entertainment or self-improvement without genuine engagement. Nevertheless, literature creates opportunities for learning, questioning assumptions, and recognizing shared unity alongside meaningful differences. It shows both what we have in common, universal experiences of love, loss, joy, and what differs based on particular positions and histories. The goal isn't to erase difference through false universalism, claiming we're all just a human in ways that ignore how structural inequalities shape life differently. Rather, it's to understand both commonality and differences, recognizing how particular circumstances shape experience, while also finding connection across those differences. Um, Social awareness through literature. Social awareness through literature involves both appreciating diverse voices and critically examining how all texts, including those by marginalized writers, participate in complex ideological systems. The goal isn't simply adding diverse authors to syllabi, or what's something called adding women and steering, or tokenistic diversity. Rather, it's a fundamentally rethinking what counts as literature, whose experiences are centered, and how we read all texts, canonical and contemporary, with attention to power, representation, and social justice. This means questioning the canon itself, why were certain texts preserved and taught while others were forgotten? What biases shaped those decisions? How can we recover lost voices and traditions? It means reading canonical texts critically, recognize recognizing their values while also examining their limitations and the problematic elements. We don't have to reject Shakespeare or Dickens, but we should read them critically rather than assuming they represent universal human experience. It means seeking out diverse voices actively, not waiting for them to be assigned. Contemporary literature is more diverse than ever. There are extraordinary writers from every background and community making the effort to read widely enriches understanding immeasurably. Now let's go for chapter 5, writing about literature. Writing about literature develops critical thinking while communicating interpretations persuasively. This is where you demonstrate what you've learned through close reading and analysis. Um, core writing principles. Literary essays differ from personal response papers in crucial ways. The personal responses express your feelings and opinions. I loved this poem because it reminded me of my grandmother. Literary essays make arguable claims supported by textual evidence and analysis. Develop a thesis. Create an arguable claim that requires evidence and analysis to support. Avoid obvious statements that no one would disagree with, like Shakespeare was a good writer, or this poem uses imagery. Avoid pure summary that simply retells plot. A strong thesis makes a specific, debatable point about the text's meaning, techniques, or significance. Someone should be able to imagine disagreeing with your thesis. That's what makes it arguable. Select evidence. Choose specific quotations, passages, or examples that support your argument. Evidence should be relevant, actually supporting your point, representative, not cherry picking isolated moments while ignoring contradictory evidence, and substantial enough to analyze meaningfully. Brief questions integrated into your prose work best. Quote only what you need, not entire paragraphs. Um, Analyze and organization. Analyze, do not summarize. This is perhaps the most important principle. Explain how your evidence supports your thesis. Analyze explores why textual details matter, what they reveal, and how they contribute to overall meaning. Do not simply restate what the quotation says. Assume your reader can understand the quote. Instead, explain its significance. If you quote a passage describing a storm, don't just say this message describes a storm. Instead, analyze the storm imagery reflects the protagonist's inner turmoil with the violent weather mirroring her emotional chaos. Then organize logically, structure your essay so each paragraph develops one main idea supporting your thesis. Use topic sentences that state each paragraph's main point. Use traditions showing logical connections between paragraphs. Furthermore, however, in contrast, building on this point, create your connection. Create clear connections so readers can follow your arguments progression. Your essay should feel like a journey with a clear path, not a random collection of observations. Each paragraph should build on previous ones, developing your argument progressively toward your conclusion. Introduction and body paragraphs. Introduction paragraphs should engage readers' interest to provide necessary context and present your thesis clearly. Avoid broad generalizations about all of humanity. Or since the dawn of time, these genetic openings do not engage readers or establish your specific argument, and instead establish a specific text and interpretive question you're addressing. You might begin with provocative questions, rising observation about the text, or an interesting critical problem the text presents. Provide necessary context, author's name, text title, publication date, if relevant. Briefly establish the aspect of the text you will analyze. Do not summarize the entire plot, just to give readers enough orientation to understand your argument. Present your thesis clearly. Typically, at the end of the introduction, the thesis is your essay's roadmap. Readers should understand from your thesis what argument you will develop. Body paragraphs follow a consistent pattern. Topic sentences stating the paragraph's main point and its relationship to your thesis. Textual evidence supporting that point, usually quotations, sometimes paragraphs or references to specific scenes or passages. Analysis explaining how the evidence supports both the paragraph's focus and the overall thesis. This is the most important component. Your analysis should be longer than your quotations. Transition to the next idea, showing logical connections to the following paragraph. Using textual evidence, quote precisely and purposefully. Every quotation should serve a clear purpose in your argument. Introduce quotations rather than dropping them into sentences. Strangely, don't write the character was sad. I felt terrible. Instead, write the narrator explicitly states her emotional state. I felt terrible, or integrate it grammatically. The narrator describes feeling terrible, suggesting deep emotional distress. Integrate brief quotations under 4 lines of purpose, under 3 lines of poetry into your sentences using quotation marks. Format longer quotations as block quotes. Intend without quotation marks. Always follow quotations with analysis. Never leave quotes to speak for themselves, even if a quotation seems self-explanatory. You must explain what it demonstrates and why it matters for your argument. The pattern should be introduce quotes, provide quotes, analyze quotes, use ellipses to indicate omitted material within quotations when you do not need to quote entire sentences. Use brackets to indicate small changes you make for grammatical integration. Always maintain the original meaning. Do not distort quotes through selective quotation or contextual misrepresentation. Avoiding plagiarism, presenting others' words or ideas as your own, constitutes academic dishonesty and is taken extremely seriously in academic context. Always cite sources, including the literary text you're analyzing and any secondary sources informing your interpretation, even if you are only using your own interpretations without consulting criticism. You must cite the primary text, page number for prose, line numbers for poetry. When you use secondary sources, critical articles, scholarly books, classmate ideas, you must acknowledge them. This includes both direct quotations and paraphrase ideas. Even if you put someone else argument in your own words, you must cite where the idea came from. Paraphrase responsibly, be genuinely restating ideas in your own words and sentence structures, not just rearranging the original language or substituting synonyms. True paraphrasing requires understanding the idea well enough to express it fresh in your own writing voices. When in doubt, cite. It's always better to cite too much than too little. Building on others' scholarship is expected and valued in academic writing. It shows you're engaged with ongoing scholarly conversations. Failing to acknowledge that is unethical and can have serious consequences, including failing assignments, failing courses, or even academic explosion. Most institutions use plagiarism detection software, but more importantly, plagiarism is a betrayal of academic integrity and trust. Your education depends on developing your own thinking and writing skills. Plagiarism shortcuts this development, ultimately harming your learning. Conclusion paragraphs. The conclusion paragraphs should synthesize your argument without merely repeating the introduction. Do not just restate your thesis in identical words. Instead, show how your analysis has developed the thesis, what insights you've generated through those close reading, what complexity you've revealed. Consider implications of your interpretation. What larger significance does your reading have? How does it change our understanding of the text, the author, or the issue the text addresses, connected to broader contexts or questions? How does this text relate to other works, to historical issues, to contemporary concerns? Suggest areas for further exploration. What questions do your analysis raise that you haven't fully answered? What additional research or reading would deepen understanding, avoid introducing completely new topics or evidence in the conclusion? The conclusion synthesis and reflects on arguments already developed. It's not the place for new information. The goal is to leave readers with a clear sense of your arguments, significance, and the insights you always analysis has generated. A good conclusion feels satisfying, giving readers a sense of closure while potentially opening new questions for their own consideration. Close reading and analytical stays. Close reading, the careful, sustained interpretation of a brief passage or text forms the foundation of literary analysis. Close reading practice. This practice involves attending to multiple dimensions simultaneously, which takes practice to develop. Read actively, annotate the text, marking significant passages with underlines or highlights. Note patterns, circle repeated words or images, question confusing moments with marginal questions marks, recording initial recitations or reactions. What surprises you, what seems important, what you do not yet understand. Identifying patterns, look for repeated words. If darkness appears 5 times, that repetition matters. Repeated images, similar descriptions or metaphors recurring. Repeated structures, similar sentence patterns or narrative structures, or repeated situations, parallel scenes or events. Repetition usually signals importance and creates a meaning through emphasis and connection. Notice anomalies. Pay attention to disruptions when the pattern breaks, contradictions when different parts of the text seem to contradict each other, or unexpected elements, surprising words, word choices, unusual images, moments that don't fit expectations. What doesn't fit might reveal tensions or complexities worth exploring. Consider context, examine the passage's relationship to the larger work. How does this moment function in the overall narrative or argument? The author's other writing, are these characteristic themes or techniques and relevant historical or cultural contexts? What was happening when this was written? What cultural differences appear? Formulate questions, generate interpretive questions about the passage rather than seeking immediate answers. Productive answers, productive analysis often begins with genuine puzzlement. Ask why does the author, what does this suggest about, how does this relate to? Questions open interpretive possibilities. Rushing to answers closes them prematurely. Comparative analysis, comparing and constructing texts or journals develops sophisticated analytical thinking that's valuable for beyond literary study. Comparison essays examines similarities, differences, or both between two or more texts, exploring how examining works together illuminates aspects that might go unnoticed in isolation. Effective comparison moves beyond surface level observation. Do not just note similarities without analyzing their significance. Both texts features female protagonists is observation, not analysis. While both texts feature female protagonists, they represent women's agency very differently. Reflecting, constructing feminist perspectives is analytical insight. Structure comparative essays carefully. You can use block organization, discussing all of text A, then all of text B, then comparing them. Or you can use point by point organization, discussing one aspect or both of both texts, then another aspect of both, etc. Point by point. Usually creates a tighter, more integrated comparison. Always use comparison to generate insight, not just to list similarities and differences. The purpose isn't inventory, but interpretation. What does it mean that these texts handle similar issues differently? What does that tell us about their respective contexts, authors' visions, or the issues themselves? Genre-specific analysis approaches. Different genres require somewhat different analytical approaches, though many principles apply across genres. Poetry analysis analyze form, sonnet, free verse, etc., sound, rhythm, rhyme, alliteration, imagery, sensory details, figurative language, metaphors, symbols, and how these elements create meaning. Consider the relationship between what the poem says, content, and how it says it, form. Sample prompt, analyze how Emily Dickinson uses form and figurative language to explore morality in three of her poems. This prompt asks you to examine both technical elements for figurative language and the thematic content, morality across multiple texts. Fiction analysis. Examine characterization, how characters are developed and what they represent. Narrative technique, point of view, chronology, structure, symbolism, recurring images or objects that carry meaning, theme, central ideas explored, and how the author's choices shape interpretation. Sample prompt, analyze how point of view influences reader sympathy in Flannery O'Connor's A Good Man is Hard to Find. This prompt focuses on narrative technique, point of view, the reader responds sympathy, asking you to connect formal choice to emotional effort. Drama analysis, consider dialogue, what characters say and how they say it. Stage direction, instructions for performance, dramatic structure, acts, scenes, building tension, character relationships, power dynamics, conflicts, alliances, and performance possibilities. How different productions might interpret the text. Sample, prompt, examine how Shakespeare uses the trial scene in The Merchant of Venus to explore justice and mercy. This prompt focuses on a specific scene while asking you to analyze both dramatic technique and thematic content. Developing analytical sophistication. Texas A&M Commerce's ANG 2326 emphasis that strong literary analysis combines close attention to textual detail with broader interpretive frameworks. The most compelling essays demonstrate both careful reading and conceptual sophistication. You must show not only what texts say, but why those meanings matter and how authorial choices create effects. Close attention to detail means noticing specific words, images, structural patterns, moments of tension, or contradiction. It means being able to point to precise textual evidence for your claims. Conceptual sophistication means connecting specific details to larger interpretive frameworks. It means understanding not just what happens in a text, but what it means, what ideas it engages, what questions it raises, what cultural work it performs. Practice develops these skills. Each essay written strengthens your ability to read critically and argue persuasively. Early essays might feel difficult, interpretations uncertain, evidence disconnected from claims. With practice, you develop confidence in your interpretive abilities, facility with analytical language, and skill in constructing persuasive arguments. View each assignment as an opportunity to develop these transferable skills. The specific texts you analyze matter less than the critical thinking, analytical reading, and the persuasive writing skills you develop. These serve you throughout your education and career. Chapter 7, title Challenges and Opportunities in Literary Study. Literary study presents genuine challenges. Let's acknowledge them honestly while developing strategies for success. Um, Common challenges and strategies: language and theory, dense or archaic language. Challenge older texts, use unfamiliar vocabulary, syntax, and cultural references that make comprehension difficult. When you are reading Shakespeare or Victorian novels, the language itself presents barriers. Strategy: use annotations, glossaries, and background readings. Good edition include footnotes explaining obscure references and archaic words. Reading passages multiple times, first for general sense, then for detail. Discuss confusing moments with peers and instructors. Do not feel inadequate if you do not understand everything immediately. Even experts need time and help with difficult texts. Theoretical complexity challenge. Literary theory introduces abstract concepts and specialized terminology that can feel overwhelming. Terms like hegemony, uh, cipher, and the subaltern aren't part of everyday vocabulary. It usually starts with concrete examples before engaging with theory in the abstract. Apply theoretical concepts to Familiar texts using theory as a tool for analysis makes it more comprehensible than reading theory in isolation. Be patient with gradual understanding. You do not need to master all of critical theory immediately. Each time you encounter theoretical concepts, they become more familiar. Give yourself time to develop theoretical literacy. Um, Time management challenge. Deep reading and thoughtful writing requires significant time investment. You cannot skim a poem the night before class and expect deep understanding. You can't write a strong analytical essay in one rushed session. A strategy plan reading schedules, allowing multiple sessions, break assigned reading into manageable chunks rather than trying to read everything at once. Start writing assignments early, give yourself time for multiple drafts. Break large tasks into manageable steps, brainstorming, outlining, drafting, revising, use time management tools, calendars, to-do lists, scheduled writing sessions. Interpretive um, uncertainty. Challenge texts do not have single correct interpretations, creating an anxiety for students accustomed to subjects with clear right answers. You might feel uncertain whether your interpretation is valid or what exactly the professor wants. Strategy: embrace productivity, ambiguity. Literature's richness lies partially in its openness to multiple valid interpretations. Focus on supporting your interpretation with evidence rather than finding the right answer. Engage with multiple perspectives, reading your classmates' interpretations shows how the same text can be understood differently, all validly. Trust your analytical instincts while remaining open to other viewpoints and feedback. Remember that uncertainty is part of intellectual engagement, not a sign of failure. Peer discussion and support. Peer discussion offers powerful support for overcoming reading challenges. Talking through texts with classmates, helping clarifying confusing passages, When you're puzzled by something, chances are others are too. Discussing together often generates understanding that individual reading didn't achieve. Discussion generates interpretive possibilities you might not have considered independently. Someone else might notice a pattern you missed after offering a reading that hadn't occurred to you, or ask a question that opens new interpretive avenues. Um Peer discussion normalizes the experience of finding literature difficult. When you struggle alone, you might feel inadequate. When you discuss with peers, you realize everyone struggles. Difficulty is normal, not shameful. Study groups, peer review sessions, and informal conversations about reading all contribute to deeper understanding while building community. Learning is social, not just individual. Some of your best learning happens in conversation with peers. Form study groups early in the semester, exchange contact information, schedule regular meeting time, commit to coming prepared, share responsibility. Different people can lead discussions of different texts, ensuring everyone contributes and benefits. Instructor support through official hours, email consultation, and in-class guidance provides individualized assistance tailored to specific struggles. Instructors have extensive experience with difficult students encounters and can suggest targeted strategies addressing your particular challenges. They can recommend supplementary resources like additional readings, online materials, or study guides. They can clarify assignment expectations when you're uncertain what is required, and they offer encouragement, reminding you that a struggle is normal and that you're capable of success. Seeking help demonstrates engagement rather than weakness. Successful students actively use available support systems. Professors appreciate students who take initiative to improve their learning. Do not wait until you're desperately behind to seek help. If you're confused by reading, puzzled by an assignment, or uncertain how to improve your writing, reach out early. Early intervention prevents small problems from becoming large ones. Come to office hours prepared with specific questions rather than asking, I do not understand this poem. Bring the poem with your annotations, point to specific lines that confuse you, and explain what you do understand. This allows instructors to target their help effectively. Remember that instructors want you to succeed. We're not trying to trick you or enjoy watching you struggle. We choose this profession because we love literature and love teaching. Your success is our success. Iterative writing process. Strong writing develops through multiple drafts, incorporating feedback. First drafts explore ideas. They're where you figure out what you think. They're inevitably messy, with unclear arguments, weak evidence, and rough expression. That's normal and expected. Subsequent revisions clarify arguments, sharpening your thesis, making claims more precise, strengthen evidence, adding questions, choosing better examples, analyzing more thoroughly, and refine expressions, improving sentences, fixing grammar, enhancing transitions. Writing centers peer review, and instructor comments all provide feedback, making revision productive rather than punitive. Use these resources. Viewing writing as process rather than single performance reduces anxiety while improving outcomes. You do not need to produce perfect writing immediately. You need to produce improvable drafts and then improve them. Each draft teaches something about your thinking and expression, making revision itself a learner opportunity. When you revise, you are not just fixing mistakes, you are developing your ideas more fully and learning to write more effectively. Build revision time into your schedule. Do not submit first draft. Give yourself at least a day between drafting and revising. Fresh eyes catch problems you miss immediately after writing. Um, Interdisciplinary connections. Literature interacts with history, philosophy, psychology, sociology, political science, and other disciplines, creating opportunities for interdisciplinary exploration. Students might examine historical contexts of literary movements. How did World War First influence modernist literature? Apply philosophical concepts to textual interpretation. How does um, existentialist philosophy illuminate Kafka's work? Use psychological frameworks for character analysis. How can Freudian concepts help us understand Hamlet or investigate sociological dimensions of representation? How does this novel represent class structures? These connections enrich literary understanding while demonstrating humanity's revealing relevance across knowledge domains. Literature isn't isolated from other academic fields. It engages with the same questions that concerns historians, philosophers, psychologists, and social scientists. If you are interested in other fields, look for connections or to literature. Studying history, consider how literature documents and interprets historical events. Interested in psychology, explore how literature represents consciousness and emotion. Concerned about social justice, examine how literature challenges or reinforces inequality. Interdisciplinary thinking is increasingly valued in education and employment. Employers want people who can think across boundaries, connect different types of knowledge, and apply insights from multiple fields. Creative projects. Creative projects offer alternative ways of engaging with literature beyond traditional essays. Students might create visual responses to poems, artwork, collages, photography, interpreting poetic imagery, perform dramatic scenes with analytical commentary, acting scenes, then discussing interpretive choices, produce podcasts discussing texts, recording conversations, analyzing literature, design websites, exploring authors or movements, digital projects presenting research creatively, or write creative pieces in conversation with course readings, original stories, poems, or creative notification responding to assigned texts. These assignments accommodates diverse learning styles and talents while developing different skills and demonstrating understanding through varied moods. Not everyone expresses themselves best through traditional essays. If you're a visual thinker, artistic person, or someone who processes ideas through creative making, these alternative assignments allow you to engage deeply with literature while playing to your strengths. However, creating projects still require rigor and critical thinking. A beautiful poster with no analytical tips doesn't demonstrate literary understanding. The best creative project combine creativity with analysis, showing both aesthetic engagement and intellectual insight. If your course doesn't formally include creative options, consider incorporating creating approaches into your study practice. Make visual maps of plot structures, create character relationship diagrams, write interior monologues for characters at crucial moments. These creative exercises deepen understanding even if they're not formal assignments. Conclusion: embracing literature as a vital human endeavor. Literature is enduring, powerful, lies in its capacity to illuminate the human condition across time, culture, and circumstance. Through engagement with diverse texts, readers encounter experiences unlike their own while recognizing shared human struggles, joys, questions, and aspirations. Literature shows us both our particularity, how specific circumstances shape us, and our community, what we share across differences. Literature preserves memory, keeping alive experience and perspective that might otherwise be forgotten. It challenges injustice, giving voice to the powerless and exposing oppression. It celebrates beauty, finding aesthetic transcendence in language. It explores identity, helping us understand who we are and who we might become. And it grapples with existence, profound mysteries, morality, meaning, love, loss, consciousness itself. Literature reminds us that we're part of ongoing conversation spanning centuries and the continents, connecting us to countless others who have sought understanding through words. When you read Homer or Shakespeare, Toni Morrison or Chimamanda Adichie, you join a conversation that began long before you and will continue long after. You add your voice and perspective to this vast human dialogue. Course reflection. This course has introduced the fundamental concepts, skills, and approaches essential for literary study. John conventions, close reading techniques, theoretical frameworks, writing strategies, and search methods. But more importantly, it has invited you into a community of readers and thinkers who value literature's unique contributions to human flourishing. This community spans centuries and continents, including people from every background, and welcomes all who approaches literatures with curiosity and respect. This habits of mind cultivates through literary study serve you well beyond this particular courses or even your formal education. Curiosity, asking questions, asking, understanding, remaining open to new ideas, empathy, imaginatively engaging with perspectives different from your own, critical thinking, analyzing complex situations, evaluating evidence, recognizing assumptions, appreciating for complexity, resisting simplistic pioneers, tolerating ambiguity, recognizing nuance, commitment to evidence-based reasoning, supporting claims with specific evidence, distinguishing between stronger and weaker arguments. These capacities benefit every aspect of life, professional work requiring communication and critical thinking, civic engagement demanding evaluation of information and multiple perspectives, personal relationships requiring empathy and understanding, and lifelong learning across any field. Then three perspectives on literature. Let me share three quotations offering different perspectives on literature's nature. From Fernando Pessoa, literature is the most agreeable way of ignoring life. This suggests literature as escape. We read to temporarily leave our lives inhabiting fictional worlds. There is truth here. Literature does offer escape, and that's valuable. Ronald Barthes, literature is the question minus the answer. This emphasis literature is open endless. Literature asks profound questions without providing simple answers. It explores complexity, ambiguity, and the mystery rather than resolving them. Salman Rushdie, literature is where I go to explore the highest and lowest places in human society and in the human spirit, where I hope to find not absolute truth, but the truth of the tale, of the imagination, and of the heart. This celebrates literature and exploration of society's heights and depths, of human nature's complexity, of truths that aren't absolute or scientific, but nonetheless real and meaningful. All three perspectives have validity. Literature can be escape, question, exploration, and more. It enriches, its richness allows it to serve multiple purposes simultaneously. The vast transformative world of literature extends infinitely beyond any single course. Every text you encounter opens pathways to other texts, ideas, and questions. Authors respond to producers and predecessors. You can trace literary genealogies, seeing how writers influence with each other across generations. Contemporary writers engage with shared concerns, reading multiple authors addressing similar issues shows how different perspectives eliminate common questions. And readers across time participate in ongoing conversations about meaning, beauty, justice, and human possibility. You're now equipped to join these conversations actively, bringing your own perspectives while learning from others. You have vocabulary for discussing literature, frameworks for interpretation, skills for close reading and analytic writing, and awareness of literature's context and implications. But you're only beginning. Every course you've taken in foundation for continued learning, the more you read, the more connections you see. The more you write, the more effectively you communicate, the more you engage critically, the deeper your understanding becomes. Final encouragement: continue exploring literature With confidence, curiosity, and critical awareness, trust your interpretive insights while remaining open to alternative perspectives. Your reading have value. You notice things others miss. You bring unique perspectives shaped by your experiences and identity, but remain humble. Others notice things you miss. Others' perspectives complement your own. Seek out texts with challenges that inspire you. Do not only read assigned texts or stay within comfortable zones. Explore widely different time periods, cultures, genres, authors. Every text teaches something. Join book clubs, attend readings, write reviews, engage with literary communities online and in person. Um, Literature is most rewarding when shared. Discussing what you read deepens understanding and connections. Make a literature a lifelong companion on your intellectual and emotional journey. Whenever and whatever career you pursue, whatever life brings, literature offers perspective, insight, comfort, challenge, and beauty. The skills, knowledge, and the dispositions you've developed through this course will serve you well across all domains of life, helping you navigate complexity, communicate effectively, think critically, and appreciate the profound richness of human expression through languages. Thank you for your attention and engagement throughout this course. I wish you success in your continued literary studies and all your future endeavors. Remember that literature is always here, just like an inexhaustible resource for understanding ourselves, others, and the world. Return to it whenever you need insight, beauty, challenge, or companionship. Keep reading, keep thinking, keep questioning. The conversation continues, and your voice matters.